What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're getting into my March 12th edition of the Bracketology here. Now, Joe Lundardi seems to be coming out with a Bracketology every day, as we had one yesterday. Now today, I assume it'll continue like that every day. So expect a Bracketology predictions video for this rest of the week leading up to Selection Sunday. Then obviously we have the big March Madness tournament predictions video, which is going to be awesome. All right, but let's look at the bracket watch here. Top overall seed is Purdue right now. First team out is Texas A&M, and then the last team in is Indiana State. Also want to shout out some teams that won their tournament yesterday and clinched a spot in the NCAA tournament. We have two. James Madison did win the Sun Belt yesterday. And then we also have Samford winning in the Southern Conference. So we now have 6 automatic qualifiers. Obviously, the rest were on Sunday. All right, and one on Saturday. But anyway, if you want to take a look here, just take a quick glance at some of the big games coming up. We got a lot of these big ones coming up tomorrow, like TCU, Oklahoma, Wake Forest. These ones cannot lose here. And we have, these teams trying to win, then win again. So they cannot lose. So yeah, a lot of craziness going on in the NCAA world when it comes to the bubble. And speaking of the bubble, let's take a look here. Last 4 byes are Michigan State. It's been kind of a downward trajectory team. I do believe if they get at least one win, they should clinch in the tournament. Then we have Seton Hall. TCU obviously has that big game versus Oklahoma and Mississippi State. Last for them, we do have Colorado, Virginia, St. John's, and Indiana State. Indiana State, that team that lost to Drake, they're going to need these teams above them to lose, I think, or at least the teams below them to lose. Indiana State, if this is what the field is, I don't like Indiana State's chances, honestly, because I can almost guarantee one of these teams is going to get a win and will jump ahead of them. So hopefully, for Indiana State's sake, if it was the actual committee, they would be more up here. If they're the last team in right now, that's not good odds, I'm going to be honest. But anyway, first for out, we do have Texas A&M, New Mexico, Wake Forest, and Villanova. And then the next for out, Pittsburgh, Iowa, Providence, Memphis. Okay, we take a look at the bracket and the movement here. We do have Stetson going to be falling to the play-in game right there. They're one of those automatic qualifying teams. But then in the Midwest region, not going to be a ton of movement here. Purdue as that number 1 seed. Nevada, they were already a 5 seed yesterday, so they will be jumping up to the 5, though. And then 13, Charleston, trying to clinch their tournament. We have 11 seed James Madison, as I mentioned, winning their tournament. Iowa State's fallen to a 3 seed. Florida going to be dropping down to a 7. And Michigan State's going to be dropping down to a 10. East region, we have UConn as that number 1 seed. Longwood jumping up to a 16 seed. Boise State falls to an 8 seed. Grand Canyon going to be dropping down to a 12. Their tournament should be coming up soon. Going to be making a WAC. I'm going to be making my 3 conference tournament videos today in the WAC, SWAC, and Big West. So keep an eye out for those as we wrap up almost all of these conference tournament videos. Not very many left, but anyway, we do have Clemson's going to be falling to a 6 and St. Mary's jumping up to a 7. Big game tonight between St. Mary's and Gonzaga. Okay, but then in the South region, Houston as that number 1 seed. We have Colorado State going to be jumping up to a 6 or 9 seed. Texas Tech's going to fall to a 7 seed. And then in this region, no movement to speak of besides Tennessee as that 1 seed. All right, so let's get into our predictions now. That's going to start out with the matchup between Indiana State and St. John's, and I do have the Indiana State team winning that one. I do believe this is a team that deserves to be in the tournament. We'll see what happens, though. But then Norfolk State taking on Grambling State. I do like Norfolk State. Give me Colorado to beat Virginia. And then Stetson, I think, pulls off the win over Merrimack. All right, but then we got Purdue versus Norfolk State. I do like Purdue in that game. Texas, I do think, would beat Florida Atlantic in that matchup. Give me Nevada to beat Richmond. Auburn, I think, would beat Charleston there. Then I'm going to go with an 11/6 upset here. Give me James Madison over Washington State. Washington State's a team I'm iffy on, especially if they play a good 11 seed like James Madison. I like them to pull off the win. But then I do have Iowa State beating Oakland. Florida, I think, would beat Michigan State. That would be a good matchup, though. And then Marquette, I think, would beat Winnipeg. All right, Tennessee versus Stetson. Give me Tennessee. I do like Oklahoma to pull off the 9/8 over Dayton. BYU, I think, would pull off the win over South Florida. McNeese State is a very good 13 seed. I do really like McNeese State, but Illinois is a good team as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give this one to Illinois. Like I said, I love McNeese State, but I don't think that one's going to happen. I do like Gonzaga to beat Mississippi State. Baylor, I think, would beat Toledo. Utah State, I like to pull off the win over Seton Hall. And Arizona, I think, would beat Montana. All right, UConn versus Longwood. 1 versus a 16. Give me UConn. Give me interesting matchup. I'm going to go with Nebraska to pull off the win over Boise State, though. South Carolina, I do think, would be a good 12 seed in Grand Canyon. Then give me the 13/4. Samford clinching the tournament yesterday. I like Samford in the 13/4 upset over the Jayhawks. So I'm just not a believer in at this point. Then I like the 11/6 coming off the first 4 games. Give me Indiana State to beat Clemson in that game. I will go with Kentucky, though, to beat Morehead State. TCU versus St. Mary's. That's a good matchup. I am going to go with interesting game, honestly. I do think I will slightly give it to St. Mary's, but could be an upset right there. Then I do like North Carolina to beat Colgate. All right, we're going to finish it off here. Houston versus South Dakota State. Give me Houston. I like Northwestern to pull off the win over Colorado State. San Diego State, I think, beats Princeton. Then I'm going to go with another 13/4 upset here. Give me the Anteaters of UC Irvine, who I'm a big-time believer in. I think if they make the tournament, they could pull off an upset. They've had a great season. Alabama have been a very inconsistent team as of late. I think that could come back to bite them. So I do have no 12/5s. But I have 2 13/4, so hopefully that makes up for it. But then we have Wisconsin versus Colorado. Give me the 11/6 again here. Honestly, I don't even think this is that much of an upset. I'm just a bigger believer in Colorado, he's really red hot right now, and Wisconsin's a team that is cold. So I like Colorado. Duke should be scared of this one. Vermont's a good 14 seed, but I do have to go with Duke. And then I do like Drake to beat Texas Tech, and Creighton, I think, beat Sam Houston. So, good first round with some upsets there. But moving on here, we got Purdue at Texas. I do like Purdue in that game. Nevada-Auburn would be a great matchup. I do think I would have to give that one to the Tigers, though. That's a good game, though. James Madison, Iowa State. Why not have some fun and go with James Madison to make a run, beating 3-seeded Iowa State? Good upset there. Then I'm going to rip off another one, a Florida team who I had my Final Four last video. I like the Gators to pull off the win over Marquette, who I think is the weakest of the 2 seeds at this point. So give me the Gators of Florida to move on. And then we got Tennessee, Oklahoma. I do have to go with Tennessee in that game. Illinois, BYU. I got to go with my Cougars. Let's go with BYU to pull off the win. Then we do have Baylor beating Gonzaga. Potential upset scenario here. Utah State could get it done, but I do have Arizona pulling off the win. They do have a lot of talent, and it needs to be recognized. All right. For a spot in the round of 30 or the Sweet 16, UConn, I think, would beat Nebraska. I do have South Carolina beating Samford. Kentucky, I do think, would hold off Indiana State, as well as North Carolina beating St. Mary's. Final region here, we have in the South one, we have Houston beating Northwestern, San Diego State, UC Irvine. Why not have some fun and go at 13/5 upset? San Diego State gets some tough underdog teams there. I think they could lose it. So let's go with, why not have some fun and go with a 13 seed in UC Irvine to move on. But then we got Colorado Duke. I'm going to go with no, I'm going to flip this one up. I'm going to go back with Duke. Colorado, that would be very impressive if they can win 3 games in a row in the past, like, what would it be, like the past 6 days? No, 4, I don't even know. But something like that in the past 4 days or something. That would be very difficult. I do have Duke winning. And then I got to go with Creighton to beat the 10 seed in Drake. All right. For a spot in the Elite Eight, we got Auburn pulling off the 4/1. Why not go with an upset pick there? Go with Auburn to pull off the win, where we will have an interesting matchup. Honestly, why not give James Madison some love? I think if they can pull off the upset over Iowa State, I think they could get the job done over Florida. Wow, we got some craziness, but I do like James Madison in that game. Okay, Tennessee, BYU. Give me Tennessee in that one. Baylor, Arizona. 2 versus a 3. Give me the 3-seeded Baylor Bears. All right, and then we have UConn versus South Carolina. 1 versus a 5. I do really like South Carolina. But against UConn, I don't see it happening. Give me UConn. Kentucky, North Carolina. Last time I went with North Carolina. Let's flip this up this time and go with Kentucky, a good 3 seed who's red hot right now. We're going to give that one to the Wildcats in those battle of blue bloods. But then we got Houston versus 13 seed UC Irvine. I do have Houston pulling off the win. And then Creighton Duke, really good matchup. 3 versus a 2. I got the Blue Jays, though, winning it. So we got our Elite Eight set here. Auburn versus James Madison, 4 versus an 11. I gotta go with, I think that James Madison's run would come to an end against a very solid Auburn team. So we're going to have Auburn advancing on to the Final Four as a 4 seed. Next matchup, Tennessee, Baylor. Last time I went with Tennessee. Let's flip this up in this bracketology. Baylor's a Final Four team in my eyes. I know they lose to Kansas State this past Saturday, but I still firmly believe in Baylor. I think they're a great team. This year, I think they can get back to that Final Four. Give me the Bears. Moving on, we got UConn versus Kentucky. I do have to go with 1-seeded Connecticut to win that one. And then finishing it off here between Houston and Creighton. Let's go with the 2-seeded Blue Jays. Moving on to the Final Four. I feel like the last few Final Fours I've had in these bracketologies have been very high seeds. So I kind of want to mix it up this time and go with some lower seeds. So yeah, we do have a big-time mix-up here. We got a 1-seed in UConn, 2-seed in Creighton, 2 Big East teams. Then we got a 3-seed in Baylor and a 4-seed in Auburn representing the SEC and the Big 12. But Auburn versus Baylor for a chance to make it to the championship game. I'm going to go with the Bears of Baylor to move on, where they will meet. Why not go with Why not go with Creighton? Honestly, let's just have some fun. This has already been a chaotic bracketology. So our national championship, Baylor 3 seed, 2 seed, Creighton. Who do I have winning? I'm going to go with the Baylor Bears as a 3 seed at this point in time. Little bit of a wild bracketology, but I do believe in Baylor. I'm not making that up. I think they're a great team. So let's go with Baylor to win this all. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed the content. Stay tuned for more college basketball content over the next few days. Anyway, guys, peace out.